Dr. Ada Ellis sat at the control panel of the Elysium, the sleek space station orbiting Earth, her fingers lightly touching the cool surface of the console. The year was 2092, and humanity had come a long way since the early days of space travel. Earth, now united under a single government, was no longer a planet looking up at the stars with wonder and trepidation. It was a force bold, relentless, and driven by a single vision to become part of something greater than itself. Humanity had established thriving colonies on Mars, Europa, and Titan, but the true frontier still lay beyond. The vast unknowns of deep space had always beckoned. And now, Ada was tasked with something more significant than any mission before. The Elysium was Earth's most advanced interstellar probe, designed to reach the farthest corners of the galaxy. The message Ada had crafted was not a simple greeting or a call for contact. No, this was a declaration. It was a tapestry of human history, culture, philosophy, and mathematics, an invitation to the universe to join humanity in a grand, peaceful venture. Ada believed that humanity's place in the cosmos was not one of domination, but one of cooperation and understanding. She wanted to reach out to say, "We are here. We are ready to join the greater community of sentient life." The message, painstakingly encoded, contained everything that Ada and her team believed humanity stood for. It showcased the achievements of humankind, art, science, literature, and the enduring spirit to overcome adversity. But it also reflected humanity's struggles, the wars, the mistakes, and the lessons learned from them. This was not just a beacon for alien life. It was an expression of humanity's journey, a way to prove that, despite their flaws, they were deserving of a place among the stars. Ada had always believed in the possibility of life beyond Earth, but more than that, she believed humanity had something unique to offer. She had studied the works of ancient astronomers, philosophers, and visionaries, those who once wondered if humanity was the true inheritor of the stars, those who believed the future of Earth would one day intertwine with the cosmos. She had felt a deep connection to these ideas, and they had driven her every decision, every research effort, every late night spent in this very lab.asa. The countdown for the launch of the Elysium probe neared its end. Ada's heart raced. She looked out the window of the station at Earth below. She was about to send humanity's first true message to the stars, an unprecedented step in human history. She felt the weight of it, the pressure of carrying the hopes of an entire planet on her shoulders. Yet, there was something else too, something she couldn't shake off. A nagging feeling that this mission wasn't just about sending a message, but about something far bigger. Something humanity had not yet understood. When the probe launched, Ada watched as the sleek spacecraft rocketed into the void, carrying with it the very essence of human civilization. She wasn't just sending a message into space, she was sending a hope, a dream for the future. The probe would take years to reach its destination, but in those long years, humanity would wait with bated breath, hoping for an answer. Days passed. Weeks turned into months, and Ada's team continued to monitor the probe's progress. The universe, however, had its own timeline, and the vast distances between Earth and the stars were humbling. It could be decades, centuries, or more before any response, if there was one at all. The odds of a reply were slim, and yet Ada believed, deep down, that something would come. What Ada didn't expect was how soon the response came. A few months after the launch, the signal came a series of coded pulses that hummed through the receiver, faint at first, then growing louder and more defined. The response was unlike anything Ada or her team had anticipated. It wasn't just a simple acknowledgement of the message, it was something far more intricate. The transmission was encoded in a language of patterns, an elegant and complex arrangement of symbols, mathematical sequences, and harmonic frequencies. It was a language of pure logic, but also of profound depth. Ada's team scrambled to decrypt the message. For days, they worked tirelessly, but nothing seemed to fit. This wasn't a simple alien language. It was something more refined, more intelligent. It felt ancient, almost as if it had been waiting for humanity to reach out. Finally, after endless nights of decoding and analysis, Ada unlocked the message. The first thing she saw were numbers, then geometric shapes perfectly symmetrical. Then, a phrase that changed everything. We have watched you. You are not alone, but you are not what you think you are. Ada's breath caught in her throat. The message was not only a response, it was a challenge, a riddle, a warning. The words seemed to pulse with an energy Ada couldn't quite comprehend. Who was it that had answered? What did they mean by "you are not what you think you are"? And why had they chosen to respond so quickly? The universe was vast, and for such a response to come so soon suggested a presence far beyond what humanity could have ever imagined. Ada's mind raced. This was no simple encounter. It was a sign that humanity's reach had crossed into something far more dangerous and complicated than she had ever expected. Whoever, or whatever was on the other end of this message, knew humanity in ways that defied explanation. And it was clear this was only the beginning. The response had come too quickly, too sharply. Ada's fingers hovered over the control panel as the decoded message sat before her, blinking in the dim light of the Elysium's command center. Her heart raced as she read it once more. We have watched you. You are not alone, but you are not what you think you are. Her mind was swirling, unsure of how to process the weight of those words. But that wasn't the most unsettling part. As Ada dove deeper into the transmission, trying to understand the cryptic message, she uncovered a chilling history. The message wasn't just a simple response. It was a warning, a challenge. The beings who had responded, calling themselves the Oricians, weren't offering the kind of peaceful alliance Ada had imagined. They weren't diplomats or curious explorers seeking connection with humanity. They were something far more complicated. In a calm, methodical tone, the Oricians outlined their view of humanity's past. They referenced humanity's violent history, the wars, the colonial conquests, the countless destructive decisions that had left scars on Earth. Every move, every war fought on Earth had been watched, interpreted as part of a larger cosmic test. The Oricians warned that humanity's future was hanging by a fragile thread, either on the cusp of greatness or total annihilation. The words sent a chill down Ada's spine. The Oricians didn't trust humanity. They were skeptical of their potential, and they were far from alone. There were mentions of other powerful beings and ancient factions, all of whom were watching from the shadows, waiting for humanity to prove itself worthy or face the consequences. Ada wasn't sure how to react. The more she read, the more the implications of the message became clear. Humanity wasn't the center of the universe, but a participant in a galactic game, a game that had been unfolding long before Earth even had the technology to reach the stars. The Oricians had been watching for centuries, carefully studying humanity. And now, they were offering a test, a challenge, to determine whether humanity could handle the cosmic knowledge they had so boldly reached out for. The test, however, wasn't something Ada could easily comprehend. The Oricians didn't give any clear guidelines, only that humanity would have to prove itself in ways that transcended simple diplomacy or technology. It was a trial for humanity's soul and its capacity for peace, cooperation, and restraint. If humanity succeeded, they would be granted access to galactic secrets beyond imagination. If they failed, the Oricians would close the door forever, quarantining Earth from the greater universe for good. Ada felt her stomach twist. It was everything she had hoped for, and yet it wasn't. This wasn't the peaceful alliance she had imagined. This was a test that came with no certainty, no guarantee that humanity would survive the challenge. It would be a gamble, one that could either elevate Earth to unprecedented heights or lead it to its ultimate destruction. Should humanity accept this challenge? Ada's thoughts raced. To reject it would mean giving up everything humanity had fought for in its short time on the galactic stage. The dream of joining the stars, of becoming part of the galactic community, would be shattered. But to accept it, to risk everything, was that what humanity was truly prepared for? But the dilemma didn't stop there. Ada spent more time analyzing the message and discussing it with her team. Something else emerged, something even more dangerous. The Oricians weren't acting alone. The message was not just a challenge to humanity. It was part of something much bigger, a game played by multiple ancient galactic factions. These factions, as Ada slowly uncovered, had been manipulating the Oricians for their own purposes. Some were ancient, their motivations shrouded in secrecy. Others were powerful political forces in the galaxy, quietly watching as humanity took its first steps beyond the confines of Earth. The realization sent waves of unease through Ada. Humanity wasn't just a participant in a test of its own making. It was a pawn in a game where it had no idea what the stakes truly were. The factions controlling the Oricians were pushing their own agendas, and humanity was simply a tool in their schemes. This wasn't just about proving humanity's worth. It was about what these factions could gain by controlling Earth and its future. Political pressures on Earth were mounting as well. Back on the planet, powerful military leaders and corporate interests were beginning to take notice of the Orician response. They saw it as an opportunity to seize power, to push humanity into a more aggressive stance. They wanted to control the situation, to dictate the terms of humanity's interaction with the stars. In their eyes, if humanity's future was to be written in the cosmos, it had to be by their own hand. They pushed for a more militarized response, advocating for a show of force instead of diplomatic outreach. Ada's team, in their minds, was too soft, too idealistic. Ada could feel the pressure mounting as her peaceful mission was being overshadowed by these more aggressive factions. The stakes of her mission were no longer just about making a discovery, about reaching out to the stars. Now, they were about control, about humanity's place in a larger galactic struggle. Should she stand by her ideals, advocating for peace and diplomacy? Or was humanity's only chance for survival to play the game by the rules of these unseen factions? The situation only grew more complicated when Ada discovered something she had feared. The Oricians' test was not just about humanity. They were testing other species as well. The other galactic factions had been watching humanity's every move, and they were shaping the Oricians' perception of the human race. Earth had become a part of a much larger game, one where survival meant not only outlasting rivals, but also navigating the treacherous web of galactic politics and manipulation. Ada felt trapped. On one hand, she was responsible for the future of humanity, but on the other, she had no real control over what was happening in the greater cosmic game. The message had promised humanity a chance to prove itself, but at what cost? How could she protect Earth, protect humanity, when every decision seemed to lead to more unknowns, more manipulation from forces far beyond her understanding? The weight of the revelations hit Ada like a tidal wave. She had always known that humanity's reach was limited, but she hadn't expected this terrifying truth. The message she had sent to the stars, in her mind a hopeful invitation to connect, to prove humanity's worth, had inadvertently triggered something far larger than she could have imagined. It had awakened something that had been dormant for eons. The Sci-Fi Collective, a name that Ada had never heard until now, but one that was suddenly everywhere in her mind, was not some peaceful alliance or an ancient federation of explorers, as she had hoped. No, the Sci-Fi Collective was something entirely different. A vast, galaxy-wide network of sentient species that had banded together long before humanity had even begun to look to the stars. Their purpose was to preserve the cosmic order, to ensure that no species, no matter how young or seemingly insignificant, ever rose to challenge their control of the universe. For eons, the collective had watched, carefully monitoring the rise of new species and civilizations. Some they had kept at bay, others they had manipulated or erased, but they had always maintained their dominance from the shadows. The Sci-Fi Collective viewed themselves as the cosmic stewards, protectors of stability and order. To them, any species that advanced too quickly, that reached too far beyond its capabilities, posed a danger. And humanity, in their eyes, was exactly that, a threat. Ada's investigation into the Orician message had uncovered a dark truth. The Sci-Fi Collective had known about humanity's potential long before Earth had even sent its first probe into space. The collective had watched humanity's progress with growing concern. They had seen the violence that humanity was capable of, but they'd also recognized the potential for human innovation and growth. The collective now believed that humanity, with its rapid technological advances and unrestrained ambition, had reached a point where they could challenge the established order, where they could disrupt the balance of power in the galaxy. And the collective had made a decision. They would not allow humanity to grow any further. They would not let Earth, with its ever-expanding colonies, its restless political factions, and its unquenchable thirst for knowledge, continue to thrive unchecked. The Sci-Fi Collective had begun a plan, a devastating galaxy-spanning operation to ensure humanity remained contained. The operation was unprecedented. The weight of this truth left Ada reeling. The message that had seemed like a hopeful invitation to the stars now felt like a beacon of doom. Humanity's rapid progress had not been a step toward enlightenment, but a signal to those who'd been watching from the shadows. The game had changed. The stakes were higher than ever before. Humanity was not just playing for a place in the galaxy anymore. They were fighting for survival. In that moment, Ada realized that she had made a terrible mistake. She had sent the message with the hope of forging an alliance, of bringing humanity into the fold of galactic civilization. But in doing so, she had unwittingly exposed humanity to the most dangerous forces in the galaxy. The Sci-Fi Collective had deemed humanity's future a threat, and they had begun to take action. The news of the Sci-Fi Collective's plans began to leak to political leaders back on Earth. Ada was thrust into an impossible position. The factions that had been divided over how to handle the Eurasian challenge were now divided even further. Some saw the Collective as an inevitable force, a power that had ruled the galaxy for eons, and believed that humanity's only option was to join them. To ally with the Sci-Fi Collective was to survive, to accept the rules of the cosmic order and find a place within it. But not everyone on Earth was willing to submit to this galactic power. There were those who believed humanity had the right to chart its own course, to fight for its independence, even if it meant war. These leaders saw the Sci-Fi Collective as an oppressive regime, one that had no right to dictate humanity's future. They believed that humanity had earned its place in the stars, and they would fight to keep it, no matter the cost. Ada's mind was torn. She had always believed in humanity's potential, in their capacity to reach beyond the stars and create something greater than themselves. But now, she was faced with a question that went beyond science, beyond politics. Was humanity truly ready to shoulder the responsibility of their potential, to break free from the cycle of violence and destruction that had defined their history? Or was the universe simply too old, too controlled for humanity to ever truly forge its own path? In the days that followed, Ada met with leaders from both sides of the debate, trying to navigate the growing tensions on Earth. The political divisions were growing sharper. Some factions argued for immediate cooperation with the Sci-Fi Collective, seeing it as a way to ensure humanity's survival in the long term. But others, those who saw the Collective as a force of oppression, pushed for immediate retaliation, hoping to take the fight to the stars before humanity was completely subdued. Ada was forced to confront her own beliefs. Her mission had been about reaching out, about connecting with the stars, but now it had become a fight for humanity's very existence. The stakes were no longer about whether humanity could join the galactic community. They were about whether humanity could remain a part of it at all. She had to make an irreversible decision. Should humanity bend the knee to the Sci-Fi Collective, accepting a life of controlled existence, or should they risk everything and fight for the chance to carve their own destiny, even if it meant war? The realization was crushing. The Sci-Fi Collective wasn't just a distant threat, they were a fundamental part of the universe's balance. They had been watching humanity's every move, every decision, every step toward the stars. And now, Ada understood that humanity's place in the galaxy had never been up to them. It had always been a matter of whether they could break free from the cycles of violence that had plagued their history and rise to a new path. Ada stood at the precipice, faced with the ultimate question: could humanity ever truly change? Or was the universe too old, too controlled, for them to ever truly forge their own way? The decision came to Ada in the quietest of moments, after days of sleepless nights, endless debates, and mounting pressure. She could feel the weight of the galaxy bearing down on her shoulders, but she had already come to terms with one undeniable truth: humanity could not continue down the path of submission. She had spent her life studying the stars, searching for answers to the deep questions of existence. But now, in the face of this cosmic reality, she realized that humanity's greatest challenge was not to prove its worth to other species or to conquer the stars, it was to prove it to itself. Ada had always believed that humanity's potential lay in its ability to rise above its flaws. But now, faced with the crushing might of the Sci-Fi Collective, She understood that this potential could only be realized if humans finally understood that they were their own masters. Their future, she believed, must be theirs to write, free from the shadow of the collective or any other outside force. She stood in the command center, her eyes glued to the screens, her hands trembling slightly as the data streamed in. The Sci-Fi Collective had made their move. Fleets of ships, ancient and powerful, were already mobilizing to erase humanity from the galaxy. Entire systems were locked in their sights, and the first wave of destruction was already underway. Ada felt the cold weight of inevitability pressing in on her chest. But this was not the end, it was the beginning of something entirely different. With a heavy heart, Ada made the choice. She severed humanity's connection to the Oricians, to the Sci-Fi Collective, and to the galaxy at large. No more pleading for peace. No more trying to earn a place among the stars. No. Ada sent a final message to the collective and to the universe at large. We are not your creation, and we do not wish to be controlled. We will determine our own future. The message, simple yet defiant, was humanity's final statement to the universe. Ada knew it would have consequences, devastating ones, but she also knew that it was the only choice that truly represented humanity's will. The consequences were immediate and brutal. The Sci-Fi Collective, enraged by the refusal, unleashed a devastating series of operations across the galaxy. Entire fleets descended upon Earth, their ships cloaking the skies, their weapons designed to tear humanity apart. The first wave of destruction began with an unrelenting force. Cities fell, military bases were obliterated, and the sound of war echoed across the globe. Ada and her team, with nowhere else to turn, were forced to flee. They retreated to the farthest reaches of the galaxy, leaving behind a planet on the brink of collapse. As they watched the devastation unfold from the safety of their ship, Ada realized the full weight of her decision. There would be no victory here, not in the traditional sense. But perhaps that was the point. Humanity had never needed to conquer the stars. They only needed to find the strength to face what came next. What happened next, however, was something Ada had never anticipated. As Earth was engulfed in war, something extraordinary began to unfold. Humanity, not united in the way that Ada had hoped for or imagined, began to pull together. Different factions, once divided by political, ideological, and social rifts, began to cooperate in ways never seen before. Military forces, once at odds, corporations once vying for power, all began to work together, not out of fear, but out of necessity. There was no grand leader. There was no sudden unity of purpose, no universal declaration of peace. Instead, humanity found something far more significant, a shared understanding. The enemy wasn't just the Sci-Fi Collective or the Oricians. It wasn't even the vastness of the universe itself. The true enemy was humanity's own history of division, mistrust, and violence. The war wasn't just external, it was internal. The real battle was not against alien forces, but against the forces that had kept humanity from realizing its full potential. Ada watched, from the quiet solitude of her new post on the outer edge of the galaxy, as Earth transformed. It wasn't a perfect transformation. There were setbacks, there were failures, but there was also hope, a glimmer of something new. Humanity had not yet united in the way that Ada had once imagined, but the fact that they were now united in their struggle against the Sci-Fi Collective was a sign that they could still rise above the forces that sought to control them. The message Ada had sent, the one that had seemed so simple, now resonated in ways she couldn't have foreseen. We will determine our own future. It wasn't just a defiant proclamation. It had become a rallying cry, a mantra for those who would fight for the future they wanted, no matter the cost. In the final moments, as Ada gazed out at the stars, the question that had haunted her for so long remained. Were we ever meant to be part of a greater whole, or are we destined to carve our own path no matter the cost? She had once believed that humanity's greatest hope was in joining the greater galactic community. But now, she wasn't so sure. The universe was vast and indifferent, and the Sci-Fi Collective's reign stretched across millennia. But Ada now understood something vital. Humanity's true potential did not lie in fitting into the cosmic order, it lay in breaking free from it. And so, As the war raged on and Earth stood on the precipice of its own reckoning, Ada's final words echoed across the emptiness of space, carrying with them the weight of humanity's future. We will decide our fate. We always have. The universe would never look the same again, but neither would humanity. In the end, the challenge had never been about the stars. It had always been about humanity itself, its flaws, its potential, its ability to unite, and its capacity to break free from the chains of its past. The journey had only just begun,